Our speaker today is Sean Washington. Sean Washington is Social Director of the Atheist Community of San Jose and a member of the board. He has been involved with ACSJ since 2013. He started as a member but slowly became more involved as the community grew, and most recently joined the board of directors in 2016. He will talk about who ACSG is and what they do and some of the challenges they face in building a community for secularists, humanists, and atheists. So please welcome Sean Washington.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the Humanist community here for inviting the ACSJ. I'm Sean Washington. I am representing the ACSJ as a member, a board member, a regular member, just someone who loves the community so much. And I'm just gonna try to talk about kind of all the things that we do and what makes us unique, some of the challenges we face about building a secular community. I think a lot of these things will probably intersect with some of the challenges that you guys face as you build your community as well. Let's see here. If I look down, I'm mostly just looking at my notes to make sure I stay on track. So I want to just talk about how the ACSJ first got started. There were two people, Brian Broom and Scott, who created the ACSJ. It was originally a meetup for those who were deconverted from religion into, and they became atheists, and they just wanted to find a place to talk and connect about their experiences with others. And as they came together and talked, they started to realize that there's more than just the deconverted. There are those who have never been religious. There are those who are still seeking answers in communities out there, and they thought they should expand their kind of community outside of just the deconverted. So they created the Atheist Community of San Jose. That's when I found it out. I was not part of the deconverted. I knew about it when it became the Atheist Community of San Jose, and I've been with them since I think their first meetup. We used to meet up at a round table down in around the Sunnyvale area. Yeah. So we were that group, and from there it kind of just blossomed, and we started realizing how important a community for atheists are, and how many people who really identified as an atheist really wanted a place to be and hang out and socialize with people. And so that's kind of how we grew from there. And then in terms of the kind of the vision of the ACSJ, we wanted to make sure that we were, a real community. We wanted to make sure that we came together. We didn't want to be an activist group. There were a lot of those around. We didn't want to be someone who starts a lot of fires or, goes to churches and argues with people. We just wanted a place where people can hang out. And I think you guys can kind of, I think you guys kind of feel similar. You just want to, be around people where you don't feel like you're going to be judged too harshly about what you think, the way you feel about certain things. And so that's the original vision. And as we go forward, our vision expands, obviously. When we start thinking about the future of these communities, we think about kind of the potential that we have in these communities, and just, again, the importance of everyone come together, not just because of the community, but, we're a growing population of nuns, and we are, we're becoming a very important part of, society around here. So that is something that's really important to us. So if you see on our, everyone, I passed out some handouts. I'm sorry I didn't have enough. That's one of the challenges. Sometimes we're ill-prepared. We run off volunteers, and sometimes the printouts don't work out. A lot of them are like magenta, but that's okay. I want to quickly bring up, not on the computer, but I quickly want to read our mission statement. quickly read our mission statement about what we do, because I think it really embodies everything that is the atheist community of San Jose. So, the atheist community of San Jose is an organization for atheists and like-minded non-believers founded to develop and support the atheist community and to provide opportunities for socializing, philanthropy, education, and friendship. We promote a positive public perception of atheists and secularists and work together with other organizations in pursuit of common goals. And so for us, what that means is really, it really means just creating a support structure for atheists. We want to be there for you if you're coming from another state to San Jose. We want to be there, much like how many people, when they travel from one state to another, they try to find a church, right? And so we're just another place that, if you're not a believer or a Christian or a Muslim, we want to be a place you can, a nice landing pad for you guys, for atheists. And so that's a good core of it. And the other part is working with other organizations such as Humanist community, such as you guys. We like to work together the best we can, and kind of, grow together as, we have a lot of similarities, but we do things in different ways. And that's what makes it all work, right? We're different, but we're the same. We have the same goals of trying to make just a better community for all of us. So the ACSJ, yeah? Did someone say something? I'm sorry. No? Okay. The ACSJ are run primarily by volunteers, as I'm sure your guys' community are. Our current president is Lynn Chui. She's been a member since about 2014. She started with the community back when we were still at Roundtable. She got really involved. And then, she was part of the PR team and then eventually transitioned into our president. And she really makes everything happen. She really helps us out, get all our speakers together and all our events together. Jason Gertz is our treasurer. He's been with the community before me. He was part of the Deconverted. Let's see, Donnie Winstead is one of the newer members, but he just got involved very quickly, and now he's our secretary. And then there's me, Sean Washington, and I became social director after I was social media manager. My primary responsibility at the time, and still is kind of to market a little bit for us. I do, I'm on Facebook a lot and Twitter. And I just try to get the word out that we're out there, which is, pretty tough when there's a lot of noise around, Really hard to compete with Taylor Swift and try to get some, or other famous people to try to get a lot of attention out there. But we do our best, and, sometimes it works. We sometimes get someone who's read our social feed or our Facebook, and they are able to kind of get to us. And then, so that's a little bit about the staff. We have a great support staff that helps us with PR, our website support. We have a small group of people who help us with philanthropy and getting events for us for there. And so, we have a really good support staff to really help us out. You'll find on the page, on the handout, just a small thing about statistics. You'll see that we've, ever since we started, it's just like a rapid growth. And so until we just recently hit 800 members, which is awesome. Our daily active people are a little more normal. We have 800 members, but not all 800 will ever show up to a single event. It's really hard to get 800 members to show up to one event. And I don't think we have the space for it, so. But, it just shows that there's a lot of interest in the area, that, people want to be part of something like this. And we also, one of our big kind of tools for marketing ourselves is our YouTube. We have over 200,000 views and, a few thousand subscribers, which is pretty impressive considering kind of, where we came from. And YouTube, just like any social media platform, is very hard to get noticed, again, because there's so much you have to compete with for people's attention. So we've been really successful there, mostly because of our talks, which we're very well known for, that we post up there, and they just really help get out the word, and I think that's one of the things that makes us unique. So we hold a lot of different events. We mostly work off Meetup. I'm sure most of you guys, the Humanist community uses Meetup quite a bit, but we really depend on Meetup to organize our events and get people mobilized into things. And we use it for everything from philanthropy events to social events to our main speaking events, which are the first and third of every Wednesday. And I just want to talk about a few of them. Again, you'll find some stuff into the packets there. Our philanthropy events are mostly, we have some regular things that we do. So we do the Second Harvest Food Bank, and we go and we, create boxes, fill the boxes with food and everything like that. And we go there once every month on a Wednesday, in between our speaking events. And so we become really well known for being there. We wear one of these shirts to get whenever, or one of our other ACSJ shirts whenever we go there, to really just show off that we're here, we're around, and we're interested in helping the community. We have social events. We have things like, bar hopping. We do the bar hopping, but we also have dinners and bowling and stuff like that. In the end, there are like a lot of excuses to go out drinking, but we do have social events. And then, of course, we have our speaker events. Our speaker events are probably what we're currently most known for. Has anyone here been to a speaking event with the ACSJ? Raise your hand. Cool. Our speaking events are really unique, mostly because of the people that we're able to bring in. Not only do we have great local talent that come in, like Jill Tarter and Sheldon Helms, who will come in and give a talk about a topic, who are great speakers, but we're also able to bring people from out of town. We've got people like Matt Dillahunty, Jacqueline Glenn, a lot of kind of, big speakers come out, and that's one of the things that really, sticks out for us. I think it's one of the reasons why we get a lot of interest here. But as we look into the future, we don't want to just be known as the group that has really interesting talks. We like doing that, but we obviously want to build more for that, because, at the end of the day, we're still trying to create a community. And so when we think about the future, we think about, more family-oriented stuff, especially Lynn, who we just recently, well, it seems recent, but she has a kid, she has a child now, and it's become a really important part. Like my brother had a kid, a little 2-year-old. Well, not had a kid again. It feels new every time you see like a little kid, but so we're in different ways, we're all realizing family is a really important part of building a community and having a support structure, not just for atheists, but for their families as well. So that's why we started creating the ACSJ Family Fun kind of meetup, which is very small right now, but we're hoping to grow that as well, just like how we grew the original meetup. And the ACSJ Fun is just trying to get parents and families to, hang out, and, create a social structure. And, we got a lot of ideas and plans we would like to do. Something we've kicked around is possibly having, some sort of, child daycare thing at our Wednesday meetups, like a table in the back. So, kids can draw and play and stuff while the adults listen to this big boring talk from this famous guy from out of town. So that's something that we're interested in doing. We're just interested in just getting more families involved and to try to grow a community that we haven't quite reached. Another thing in our future that we're trying to do is we're trying to get more young people involved, and we think families is a big part of that because there's a lot of young people starting families as well. A lot of people who are very young, just kind of starting out in their in their kind of family life and growing the family, and it's always good to have just a nice support there. And so we're trying to get more young people involved as well. And of course, we will always have our guest speakers. Again, that's what makes us that does make us unique, and we think it's a good strength of ours. I don't know if you saw in the packet, we have David Silverman, and we're planning to have Aaron Raw come to the ACSJ very soon. So definitely check out those events. And of course, we want to do more social events. We want to do things like go out, see movies and stuff like that. And we want to, do more than just, the Sunday night bowlings that we do. We want to do a lot more of those. And so we're looking to do that. Again, we think that'll bring a younger crowd and a more diverse crowd. Diversity is really important to help keeping this community going. So that's some of the stuff that we're looking out in the future. And another thing is, again, we're just trying to explore new ideas, every day. We go, we look around all these different communities and try to see what they're doing, and we just want to, take all the good ideas and implement them the best we can, because it's just, we don't want to kind of stay the same. We want to keep growing. And so, as we grow, we face challenges. Some of the challenges we do face are, we face issues with having enough people, enough volunteer help. That's always one of the biggest challenges. And so, and we do a lot of things to try to help that out, but, we're always, I think, again, that's one of the things we need to do is we just need to, create the stronger community and create a, more family-oriented. And I think the people will come. But that's always one of those things that we have trouble is, having volunteers help us out. And, we also have staffing positions that we need to fill. The board, we have 4 members on the board. And it really should be an odd number, to break ties. Luckily, we're so friendly, we agree with each other so much that hasn't been an issue yet. But, we are looking for another board member. So that's another challenge that we face. And, it's really hard to get this stuff, to really get people involved, especially in Silicon Valley. We're always busy. We're always moving. We're always trying to, make a life here through our work and everything like that. So it's a very daunting task to take on something that is really all about kind of giving yourself out, as opposed to getting stuff in return. So that's another big big challenge that we face. We're another thing is we're trying to do more community social events and stuff like that. Events that are not just our speaking events. Our speaking events bring the most people, but we're also trying to bring in new different people, and that's always hard again because it's new to us and it's hard to do new stuff and get people involved. And of course, it's hard to get young people involved in the community when they're more worried about school or their dates or stuff like that. But we believe that they're out there, and we just need to show them how great we are, and I think we can do that. And I think the other thing that we're trying to do is, we're trying to create something that it sounds pretty hyperbolic, but we want to create kind of something where where if we disappeared, it'd be a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, so when you think about the things these types of communities, you want to think about like, if we disappeared tomorrow, how many lives would affect, right? And right now we're it's like, we're not sure. Maybe it wouldn't affect people's lives. I mean, they wouldn't have the Wednesday events that much. They'd have to find something else to do, but maybe not a whole lot. And so that's a big thing that we want to do. We want to create something that if we were to just disappear, it would be really bad. Like a big blow. There's some local churches out there. They do a lot for their community, and if they were to disappear, it'd be like a really big blow to their community. And so we're trying to do something where we're such a big influence and such a big help in the community that it's important for us to stay around. And so those are some of the challenges that we face as we move forward in this community. Let's see. Do we have a clock or anything? Oh, right there on the claw. Okay.
45 more minutes to go.
45 more minutes. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I try to make this talk as long as possible, but sometimes it's a little hard. The thing is that we're still a young community. Our story's still being written. We're still trying to figure everything out. We have, I think we're blessed with a young group, but with that young group is that's a lot of inexperience. So we're still trying to grow. Unfortunately, I have things to talk about. So
You can always stop and ask for questions.
yeah, so I think we'll go on to Q&A. I think that's what we'll be better at.
Okay. Remember the typical modality is that I walk around with the mic. I try to keep track of who put their hands up first. 3 just went up immediately. A 4th one just went up 5th now. So we have to figure out, I will try to figure out the sequence. I had one question. I actually have 2 questions
Sure.
for you. One of them is, when you call someone a member, do they actually pay dues or do they just sign up?
Yeah, our members, they just sign up. They just sign up to our meetup and you're a member. We don't want to have people pay dues or anything. We want to be as open as possible. The only thing we have is a submission process, and that is only because we've had issues with internet trolls. And it kind of sucks that we had to have a screening process. But we have one just because we've had issues in the past with people coming on to our meetup site just to be malicious and stuff like that. So, but once you get past it, which is super easy, just type up anything that looks like somebody typed it up, and then you're basically accepted. I mean,
Yeah, so how does your screening process work?
So we have some questions whenever you try to join about like, how'd you, what do you believe in? How'd you become an atheist? Just some basic questions. And if you all you got to do is answer them with like a simple sentence and you're usually in. It depends who's checking them off. I think Lynn is even more lenient than me. I think if you just put any words in there at all, that she'll give you the check. So I like to have a sentence or 2 in there before I give it a check. But I've never rejected anyone, nor has Lynn. And it's only there to try to keep out undesirables. That's about it.
Okay, and then the second one, it sounded like you have fundraising activities. Is that, I forget, you had a name for them. I forget what they were.
Was it the philanthropy?
Yeah, philanthropy.
No. Actually, the philanthropy, when I mean philanthropy, is we usually just, that's us going out to the community and helping people. In terms of fundraising, we just kind of have a glass jar and we hope people will fill that out. We do have one fundraising event that's really actual fundraising event, which is when David Silverman comes into town. We're having like a dinner with him, and it's like a really expensive ticket. And that is very fundraiser stuff.
How expensive is it?
I think it was like $85 if you want to have a dinner with David Silverman. We still have tickets, so if you're interested, go for it, man.
Well, actually, Carl asked my question for me, but I'll try to round it out a little
Sure,
bit.
no problem.
I'm deeply impressed by your figure of 800 members.
Mm-hmm.
because the humanist community, which started out as a humanist community in San Jose and then moved to Palo Alto, and now we've moved back, has never reached that category. But on the other hand, we always had dues, so we were thinking of members of people who put money down.
Right.
But how of those 800 people who have given you their address or whatever, how many of them, and how do you try to get them involved, and how successful have you been with that?
Yeah, so the best way we try to get them involved is, we don't force anyone. We just try to hold the best events we can, and we just try to do the best we can to get, we do everything we can to make to make the ACSJ as desirable of a place to hang out and support as possible. We've been mildly successful. We haven't been super duper successful. We always have a healthy showing at any meetup, whether it's a big guest or just local talent. We usually have a good, 30 to 40 people that usually show up, depending on the day. It's harder. 4th of July weekend, obviously less people show up. They're all on vacation. So, but usually we have a very healthy set of people. So again, not all 800, but the 800 is a good kind of bar to see, just a general interest. And of course, some of the our 800 don't even live in San Jose quite yet. Some of them are like from all around the world. But there's interest in the community, and that's what's important.
Where do you meet on Wednesday nights, and do you have any special location that you meet other times?
Yes, we do. We meet at Harry's Halfbrow in Saratoga. There's a big back room that we meet up. They have been very, very kind to us to have us in that space all the time, mostly because we eat their food and drink when we're there. So we go there every first and third Wednesday of every month. We'll be there. Giving, usually with a guest speaker. Sometimes we have other events, like we just have like a fun social thing where we get in, we get some food and hang out and play games and stuff like that, or a comedy show or something like that. But mostly our speaker events, and again that is at Harry's Halfbrow. Again, most of our events are free. Some of them are paid. Usually the kind of high profile guests are paid events, but most of them are free.
How do you respond to the statement, there are no atheists in foxholes?
Yeah. There's a book about that, and he was an atheist in the foxhole. No, but I don't know. We think they're everywhere, and so that's why we created this community. We want the to know that they're not alone, and I think a lot of atheists out there feel like they're alone. Even in Silicon Valley, it's just sometimes hard to say that you're an atheist, you're a non-believer, because you're just worried about getting judged. We are kind of in Silicon Valley, we're in kind of a much more atheist-friendly place than, say, the Midwest or even, outside the country where you could get killed. But, it's still hard to say it if, at the very least, someone's going to, call you stupid or dumb or whatever, or just generally kind of, be unfriendly to you. So that's why we have communities like this, to have a landing spot so that you can come here and you can say, I'm an atheist, and no one's gonna kind of rain on your parade because of that.
You said you've never turned anybody down, but you said you've had some trouble with trolls.
Yeah.
How did you find them, and what did you do? You did turn them down, I suppose.
Yeah, what I mean by that is I've never personally turned them down when I started accepting submissions. Previously, Brian and Scott did have to turn people down. That was much earlier in their day. That's why we started implementing it. It was during when we were a younger organization, still figuring out what we were doing. There was I think a Ken Ham presentation that some of us wanted to go to. Not to protest, we just wanted to go, sit down, watch it, see what's going on. I guess some people found out, went on our meetup, joined, and kind of just trolled people and annoyed people on the comments and just made them feel uncomfortable. And so that was kind of the big thing. But since then, I mean, there have been a few here and there, but ever since I became member of the board and started accepting members myself, I personally have never turned anyone down. So the problem is mostly solved, but it's just something we can't quite turn off yet.
Do any of those people show up at events, like if you have something, not necessarily at the speaker, but if you do this bowling or something, do you have people show up at that who might be hostile?
Well, not that, no. Well, usually we'll have a random, preacher who'll show up, but not because they found out on our meetup. They just happened to be in the same place. I think we had that issue at our picnic yesterday. We were at a picnic yesterday, and we had a proselytizer come up, and he was, from what I can tell, from what I understand, I was not there, but from what I understand, he was very friendly, but he came up and talked to everyone and stuff like that. So we'll have that, but we never had a real troublemaker show up. I think they want to make trouble where no one can touch them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to show up in a hostile space. I mean, I wouldn't either, so.
And about the charging for speakers, I guess if you have to pay a speaker, then you charge for it.
Right, exactly.
Do you ever charge for people that you don't have to pay for?
No. If we don't have to, and it also depends how much we pay. I don't have hard numbers on me, but generally speaking, if it's not a huge expense, it'll almost always be free. If it's local, it'll almost be free because we almost never have to pay them. And if we do have to pay a small speaking fee, we usually foot the bill for that. So that's kind of how those speakers, the paid speakers are really only for the really kind of pretty expensive ones to get here.
Thank you for being here, taking the time. I appreciate it. Two questions. One is, I'm often confused. You talked about atheist, secular, and I'd like your perspective on that, because I tend to think, and I may have a very wrong impression, atheist seems to focus on anti-religious, whereas secular just is tolerant, non-religious.
Yeah.
And I have another question, if I might, if there's time.
Sure. Do you want me to answer the first one first, or would you like to say it? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So at least for me, everybody has different usages for the word atheist. Some people in our group do think the atheist term really is a focus on kind of anti-theist kind of philosophy. I personally don't think so. I think atheism is just the lack of belief in gods. A lot of our members feel that way, but I mean, I can't change the way some people want to use the term atheists. And which goes into why we even call ourselves the atheist community, and why we use the term atheist in community instead of the secular community of San Jose or the humanist community of San Jose. Well, humanist is already taken. That's one of the problems. But no, but the other thing is because people use labels to identify themselves. And some people may identify themselves strongly as a humanist and a lot less as other things like atheists and secularists and stuff like that. And so they'll gravitate to places that kind of harbor that for them. So for us, the reason why we're called atheists, because the people who started it, we really identify with the atheist label, and so we wanted to create a place where that atheist label is really important for those people and our members. So that's why we use it. But in terms of usage, it comes to personal preference. I think most of our members view atheism as the lack of belief, but I have certainly met a few members here and there who who use the term for anti-theists. So, and I really can't do anything about that except have discussions with them about usages.
Okay. It was interesting, you brought up usage of the term atheist and the feeling of being alone, and how some people use that term to attack, marginalize, demonize others. You don't have to answer this, but do you have any thoughts about the DNC emails that have been uncovered used trying to attack Bernie Sanders?
We reviewed a few of them. A lot of our members are kind of pretty disenfranchised about that, but I'm probably not going to speak too much on it. I don't want to. We are a nonprofit, and we're not supposed to support that kind of stuff or really talk a whole lot of it. So I'm sorry. You can talk to me later when we're at dinner. That's probably a little less official, but I probably won't talk too much about that. Sorry.
Well, that was a great segue, because I wanted to ask about what your policy was about talking about politics.
Yeah.
The Humanists have some restrictions on what can be said, and I thought maybe you do too.
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit. I'm not the law guy, so I don't know the specifics, but I do know we can't support candidates. We can't, do political rallies or support specific parties or anything like that. And so, we do have to be very careful of that. If a member of one of our members is running for office or something like that, and he wants to pass out flyers, we can't allow that to happen at our events. We'd be liable for that. So that's kind of the fast and loose policy of it. I'm sure there's more specifics that I don't know of, but generally we're just try to stay with it, and I think we'll be okay. And that's kind of how we look at a lot of things that we shouldn't touch.
Okay, I had a question, and I can be open up for more questions. I belong to a Yahoo group called Atheist of Silicon Valley. Are you connected at all with that, or have you segregated that? It wasn't Mark. I can't remember his last name. Mark
Thomas.
Mark Thomas, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he part of your group too, or are you?
Yeah, he's a member. He shows up a lot of time. We're not officially affiliated in any way. But he shows up to our group. We love Mark. We think he's awesome. He's always been a great member and helping us out and spreading the word, and shows up to a lot of our events. But I don't think we have any official capacity with him. But that's cool, I think,
Hey, just for some clarification, as a nonprofit, you are allowed to talk about politics. You can't give money,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So money is the big thing.
Yeah, that's right. The money is the main big thing.
And putting resources behind having events that are political events. But as far as anybody getting up at a group and giving their opinion about Bernie Sanders, especially when the issue is atheism in particular, that's totally legitimate.
That's true. I'm still new at this at leadership here, so I'm just trying to be a little careful before I again, just talk to me during the lunch where it's a little less official.
Right. Another thing too, talking about what the other guy, what they said about what is secular. Because I had to write a legal brief on this a couple years ago, is that atheism is not secular.
That's right, yeah.
And secular would include believers, So it's kind of a misnomer where people think, the atheist, humanists, in my case, Church of Reality is secular. It's not. If there were any religious group that was actually closer to secular, it would be Unitarian Universalists, because they'll take anybody, or the Department of Motor Vehicles, is my ultimate example of secular,
Right.
Everybody gets a driver's license. They don't even ask you, and not even allowed to ask you what your religion is, you know.
Sure.
United States government is theoretically secular in that same sort of way, you know.
Sure. That's true.
But actually my question I was going to get to is, how do you pick speakers? And if somebody like me wanted to apply to be a speaker, what would be the process?
So the process is, so usually if anyone is interested, you can contact us at speakers@sanjoseatheists.com and just let us know that you're interested. We are always looking, so again, you know, we don't really deny people outright. We will talk about it and vote on it and see if we like you. We'll ask for like what you're going to talk about and your presentation, and we'll review it to make sure that it's appropriate or it's something that we like, that we think our our audience would like. And so that's basically the process. Is we just come sign up and review it. In terms of finding speakers ourselves, that is just us saying, hey, we like this guy, can we even possibly get him? And we just try, and sometimes we get them. And so that's how we get our big best speakers. But we're always looking for local speakers. I personally love the local speakers. I like them a lot more than even some of the big speakers. Big speakers, I can watch them on YouTube, but local speakers, they don't have they don't have quite the avenue. So if we can get them, I mean, I'm always thrilled. And so, I mean, if you're super interested in giving a talk, and you feel like it's something that our members would like, you should absolutely submit something, give us a PowerPoint, and we'll review it. And it's.
I got his website. To mention he's got an extensive website. You can learn a lot about it from that. You need to have a mic if you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give a talk on. I could give you a choice of subjects that you could pick, that I can talk about.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk about it. So figure it out.
Hello, Shane. My name is
Sean.
Sean.
Yeah,
Sean.
it's okay.
Sorry about that. My name is William Weir, and I'm vice president of Humanist House. And have you thought of? Humanist House here is for any social issues and anything that we have it open up.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is fill out a use agreement, and as long as the event is within the humanist values, you can be here at no cost.
Yeah.
Okay. So have they talked about that in your group?
We have talked about it. I think it's a great place and everything to come and hold certain events. We're just a little backlogged, and we haven't really talked a whole lot about it in terms of coming here. We may start thinking about it more seriously since I think Harry's, they talked about they might have to tear it down and stuff, and so you might be on our list of places that we need to go. But we know it's here, and we just want to. If we're going to use this space, we want to make sure we use it well. We don't want to just hold any random event. We respect the space a lot, and we know it's really important. So if we do something here, we want it to be, we want it to be good. We want to put our best foot forward, and not just use it for the sake of using it.
Well, yeah, I understand that, and but we have book clubs meeting here.
Yeah,
we have. As long as there's open space, there'll be room.
Cool.
There'll be priority towards bigger events and things that you might think is more valuable. But so, have you thought of doing joint events with other organizations?
We talk about joint events a lot. We did one pretty recently. We did one with the blood drive with Humanist House, which was really cool. So we're definitely open to it. We just have to keep the communication open. The thing is when we work with each other in different events, sometimes we don't always agree with everything, but as long as we keep talking to each other, I'm sure everything will work out. And so we should talk about some stuff that we can do together. If you have ideas, we're open to it. I know I'm open to it. I can bring it to the board. That's Yeah, I don't know. That's all I gotta say. We're open to it. I'd love to get your contact information. I give you mine, and just keep an open, open dialogue. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to strengthen our connection with each other. So, yeah.
I had a couple of questions since no one else raised their hands yet. One of them is, you spoke of the demographics, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Like, would you say, for example, that 90% of your members live in the Bay Area?
Yeah, I would say that.
Maybe 95 even?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, and now the age demographics, do you have some general idea of, is there like two groups? Sounds like you have a lot of social activities, so you have like a somewhat younger group, let's call it.
Yeah.
And then you have an older group.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do we think of the mean age between those two groups? I'm just curious.
I would probably say around 40 or something like that.
40.
Around 40, 45. And the young groups that we get is usually like, it's like the bar hopping one.
Yes.
That's where we get, the Sunday bowling is another one we get a young group. Mostly because they're hosted by, the bowling was hosted by Lynn every weekend. Not every weekend, every time she does it. She's young and she brings her young friends, and so it's a very young atmosphere. It's probably our youngest event. Our Wednesday meetings are usually older, our older crowd, and then kind of everything else is a little in between. So it's kind of how it's looking right now. We would like more younger people just in all of our events in general. When we have big speakers like Anthony Magnabasca or Dylan Hunty, we do bring a younger crowd, but that is mostly because of the speakers, and not a lot less of what we're doing and a lot more of who we're bringing in. And so we recognize that, and so we're just trying to find different ways to really sustain it through us as opposed to just bringing speakers in. Because you can't just rely on that. Matt Dylan Hunty is expensive, so.
Also, I was confused when you said you eat the fees of some of the speakers if they charge money. So do you take donations? Is that what you do?
Yeah, we do take donations.
Actually, that's where you raise other funds.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, as far as the politics goes, I don't think it's only money. I think we're not allowed to speak up, to hold an event, whether we charge money or not, in favor of any political thing. We do like to have speakers who will explain to us what the issues are in the various things that are happening.
Right,
but I think it's the same for both of us. We cannot actively campaign for
a certain
somebody.
individual. Yeah.
Do you allow agnostics in your group?
We allow basically anyone in our group who is not going to cause trouble. So, and so we've accepted Christians who are interested in learning about atheism into our group, as long as they're as long as they seem genuine about it. We allow agnostics because they might be searching for answers in their own lives, and so we definitely want them to come. So yeah, we're open to anyone who wants to come, who are genuinely interested in our community, to come and visit our community. Much like a church would. A church would take an atheist. It's just as long as you're not causing trouble, you're basically in.
I was wondering about your speakers. You said you get people who want to speak. Do you reach out for speakers? Do you have a committee that looks for speakers?
Yes, we do reach out to speakers. We used to have a committee with Donnie. Used to run that, but now he's secretary. So he still does it, but we are looking for a guest speaker committee to seek out speakers, both out of town and locally. We do both. We actively look for some, and we take any who come to us as well. So.
Okay, when you say out of town, you mean people who are going to be in the Bay Area, who are going on a speaking tour or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Your speakers, are they limited, in general, are you looking for people who will talk Are you looking for people who will speak on unreligious topics or general topics? Like here, we've had many people who speak on topics that have nothing to do really with our values or anything else. It's just interesting topics.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of talks that are about just interest, like science. We have a lot of topics on science. I think our most controversial one, was we had Karen Street come in and talk about nuclear power and global warming, and that was very interesting. It was something that we knew a lot of people wouldn't agree with, but we thought it was interesting for our audience anyways, and it was totally interesting for our audience, and we had a nice discussion about it. So we're totally not just like, a lot of not anti-religious, but like a lot of non-religious stuff. We do go outside from that. Just happens those are the ones that are really popular and the ones that people want to talk about, so we have a lot of them. But if someone if someone wants to talk about like economics, and it's interesting, we'll take it,
So I haven't seen many hands lately.
One more. No.
Oh,
right. This guy's been waiting.
Thank you. Okay. The Venn diagrams of humanists and atheists overlap considerably.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, what are the barriers to atheists or members of your community joining our community? And I think we already have several members here who are registered in your community.
Yeah. I think the only barrier would be styles. So I think, styles of presentation, styles of how we do events, and just, and maybe even perhaps just the label, how strongly they identify with one or the other, like I mentioned earlier. Our style is very kind of non-church-like as possible, I guess you can say. If you take Sunday Assembly, which is very church-like, versus us, we're two opposites. And, that's a little bit on purpose, because we know some people who are not, who got out of religion are really trying to avoid that. They want the community, they just don't want it to feel like church. And so we feel like that our events are a nice avenue for them, and so that's one of the reasons why people may prefer our events over other events or other communities like that. And that's just part of the diversity of people's tastes. And then of course it could just be labels. Some people may very heavily identify with the atheism label and very little with the humanist label for whatever reason. Even if the intersect is very strong, it's just a personal kind of inspection of themselves, that introspective of themselves that they just kind of identify with. So I think those are some of the barriers. I don't think, we could try our best to try to appeal to everyone, but at the same time, we want to have our own kind of unique flavor and voice to each of our communities, so that that's how we thrive, is being different as well. So I don't know. I guess that's it.
I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but years ago I often wondered when the country would be ready for a homosexual to be president, for an atheist, for transgender, for a woman, for a black. And we know we haven't had a black person. Do you have any opinion on when the country will be ready for atheists, agnostics, transgender? Opening up the country to a wide distribution, or anyone qualified.
So I think, our next president will probably be a woman. So we're going to get over that barrier, I guess. And then I think, I think honestly that atheist as president is probably going to be dead last. It's weird, but it's kind of just, just how we've beaten the kind of the religiosity into our culture. I think it's just really hard to let that go, and I think it's going to take several generations for people to kind of just grow out of it, and then eventually you can be an open atheist who can run for president. That's what I think, but I mean, I don't know. I could be proven wrong. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope it happens the next election cycle. That would be great, but I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, I was wondering when you talked about, atheists feeling persecuted. I've been a lifelong atheist, and I've, never really run into that, where, I have had people who were, extremely concerned about where I was going to spend eternity.
Right.
But other than that, and of course online trolls, that's a whole different,
Yeah.
because, the people change when they're anonymous. But do you think that some of that's just, atheist paranoia and atheists
No, I don't think so.
having problems in their own head, and not real persecution?
So
of course, I'm excluding visiting Muslim countries and things that too. I'm just talking about here in America.
Well, I don't think it's, you could say it's not as bad as Islamic countries where you could get killed for being atheist, but it just builds a lot of unhappiness over time. And some people just take persecution differently. Some people are able to push through it. I would say I'm someone who could push through it, and you're probably one who could. But a lot of other people, it's really hard. It just builds a lot of internal unhappiness, even if it's a small thing. Even if it's just a small thing where like a friend will not have lunch with you anymore. It's not really persecution. Your life doesn't stop, but you feel oppressed because you feel like you're not part of the crowd. You feel like you're not appreciated as a person. You're not viewed as a person. And so it's a different type of persecution. Again, it's not as bad.
I that's actually happened to you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I've had people who associated less with me.
Yeah. Because it's not like I'm black or a woman or anything like that.
Sure, and I'm not. Yeah, sure. And again, it does matter where you're from and stuff like that. Again, Silicon Valley, we're lucky here. We can be more ourselves than other parts of the country and other parts of the world. But even if that's true, just any sort of kind of persecution, I think, is bad. Even if it's small, even if it's just the guy doesn't want to share his candy with you. It just means they're treating you differently. It's just automatic. So we want, that's why we think it's important to have these communities for people who identify with certain labels or whatever, that they can go to a place where someone will share their candy.
We certainly have a lot of prejudice against a lot of groups. There are certainly large parts of the country where the idea of a woman president is still anathema, and we have now an extremely qualified woman and a madman, and they're running neck and neck. We can't really count on which one's going to win. So I hope everybody get out and vote if they care. Someone said, we're either going to have the first woman president or we're going to have the last president.
I have a problem with the term atheist. It seems that it's a negative term. It says what you don't do, you don't believe. And on the other hand, humanist seems to replace the deities with the ability of the human mind, its best aspects, to accomplish the good that these deities are supposed to accomplish, or, of course, many cases in primitive religions don't. But it just seems like it's a positive term, whereas atheism, and one of the causes for its rejection is that it stands for negatives rather than the positives. And I see that you all do some philanthropic work.
I'm bad at that word too.
Yeah, us old folks have a hard time with words. But anyway, it seems like that we really, the non-believers need to project a much more positive image to the public, or we're never going to have a president who's a non-believer.
Sure. I think that's part of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to create a positive perception. We do a lot more philanthropic and a lot more social events, and that's part of our mission statement: positive perception of atheists, I know a lot of people feel that way about atheism as being such a negative term and everything like that. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's still a term people want to use to identify themselves, and we just have to do the best. And a lot of us, I identify it's an important identifier for me, for our members, and so we just we've taken that burden. We understand it's a burden, but it's important to us. So that's why we do our best to create a positive perception and to create a community for us.
Earlier, Mark commented that he didn't see much persecution of atheists, and part of the reason is we're a group that can easily be undercover or not out and obvious. And so to counter that, I just want to mention that one of my sisters was badgered into admitting that she was an atheist and was immediately fired from her job.
Wow.
So these things happen, especially in North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, following that line of thinking, Arthur Jackson here, when I was, I think, in the 7th grade and new to an area in Oregon and wanting to connect and be part of things, I ran across the Boy Scouts of America, and they let me attend several of their meetings, and they had this rule: you had to state a belief in God. Mm-hmm. And I was not, somehow I couldn't wrap my mind around that concept, and I was not willing to say that I did. And I think that's why, in many ways, humanists and atheists are not willing to be hypocrites just to satisfy somebody else's idea of what you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think that I personally went through a period of maybe a few months where I did think of myself as an atheist, but I had the good fortune to run across humanism and find, well, actually, I didn't. I invented it myself because I tried, how do you make sense of this world? What's really important? Mm-hmm. And it was clear to me there was no God, but so what? Okay, no God, now what? And it's the now what, to my mind, is the critical issue. And my hope is that humanists, if we can ever get our act together, can really help create that environment where we really can treat every other human being as a worthwhile person, and that their beliefs at one level are somewhat irrelevant, because we can have one belief today, and I think everybody in this room has believed all kinds of weird things over their life, which they don't accept anymore. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, that's the nature of being a human being. Yeah. We have the capacity to change what we think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Hi, I would like to say I found it really strange that actually there are, I'm sure there are millions and millions of atheists and all kinds of varieties of belief that, are in our country. I don't say you could possibly grow up in this country, go to school, learn about science, learn about the scientific method, think about evidence, okay, and possibly come up with any other conclusion. And yet, I grew up in a very religious Lutheran Swedish community in Minnesota, and I was completely surrounded by people who believed or professed to believe a whole lot of dogma. And it occurred to me that one of the reasons atheists are regarded with suspicion by people like that is because they're social deviants. So they feel like, okay, they're not Christians, that means they don't accept the 10 Commandments. Who knows what they might do? So it might be useful for some of these groups to adopt like a platform and saying, well, we say it's not good to stab people in the back. We say, so to make it clear on certain points what they do believe or what they do profess. And that might calm people's fears in that regard.
Yeah, it's actually super hard to do a platform for, so humanists, you guys I'm sure have a platform, philosophies, which is awesome. It's really hard for atheists because we have a lot of people who have a lot of already philosophies and everything. They already have their ideologies, and while none of them are, connected to religions or gods or anything like that, they they don't want to be straddled with another set of ideologies. They just want to hang out with non-believers. That's their big thing. So we have a lot of non-believer. We have a lot of non-believer liberals. We have non-believer libertarians. Some non-believer conservatives, and that's it's important that they keep that part. So for us, I think the way that we want to show that we are good, decent people is not through just a platform, but we really want to go out there and do it, right? That's why we think the philanthropy is really important, right? If we have people in shirts like these go out, pick up trash, help the homeless, feed people, do all that stuff, it does more than just having a platform for us, I think. And I think it goes a long way to show that, if they saw atheists cleaning up a river valley, it would be very obvious to see, these are people who care about the community, they care about the longevity of the community, and it helps just open their eyes that, we're not a bunch of, social misfits who don't hang out with each other and just kind of, do whatever they think we do. We're just normal people, So, and I think that's what we're mostly trying to do. We're just trying to show off how regular we are, just how human we are, just how much we care about other people. We go out, help people. We go out and eat food and drink just like other people, and so that's what I think. Part of the vision that we're trying to put forward.
Okay, so that was the last question. Can we go hand to our speaker?